So I'm going to put two commissioners on the spot.
Yeah.
That's our Commissioner President Ken Kelly and Ken Robertson. They did not know this was coming. I'm sure they may even appreciate it. If you would very quickly, could you explain, because I'm kind of confused. It shows that there's a deficit, a new deficit, an Indian Head Tech Park or something along that line. Do you feel comfortable about talking about that, or is that a pending legal issue that you can't discuss? Okay.
I'm happy to start if it's okay. You can follow up on it. This was a land deal that started in the middle part of the last decade, and it was approved in 2008, which was prior to this Board of Commissioners taking office. And it had to do with the tech park in Bryans Road, which was interestingly named the Indian Head Tech Park, which I never supported as a candidate for office in 2010 because I always thought it was the wrong location for a technology park. I jokingly said calling it the Indian Head Tech Park would be like calling a certain baseball team the Brooklyn Dodgers of Los Angeles. But that's the opinion side. But the legal side has cropped up, and what it was an awful land deal that the county entered into. That a contract was signed, apparently in secret. And we bear the responsibility, and when I say we, I mean the citizens bear the responsibility of paying off the $6.4 million ill-conceived and ultimately ill-fated land deal to build a technology park in an environmentally sensitive part of the county. I was shocked when I just wanted some background information and emailed our Fiscal and Administrative Services people to just get a background or connect the dots for me, and was told that they couldn't do that because Fiscal was not involved in any of the negotiations that led to this deal. Now, I can tell you that if I have a coffee with the commissioner, I have to account for the $50 in publicity that might be generated by staff time to that. So I was pretty horrified to hear that this was done in secret, and it's my goal at this point to find out how we got where we got. Are we truly responsible? And I think that people need to be held accountable for how this got to where we are today.
Well, I'm the notebook lady. I deal with facts, and so I spent most of yesterday researching this matter. So these are the facts. The agreement states that it doesn't give you a date, but it says that the Board of Commissioners approved moving forward with, getting RFPs out and that sort of thing. I can find nothing in any minutes anywhere that show that the Board of Commissioners approved that. The agreement references that and implies that there was, or states that there was a letter of intent signed, and it identifies that letter of intent as action by the Board of Commissioners. Well, I found the letter of intent, and it was signed by the, at that time, Director of our Economic Development Department, John Reardon, who in the middle of this process, in August of 2007, left the Board of Commissioners, did not take, as I believe the Ethics Code requires, a 30-day cooling off period, but immediately went to work with Ficina, the same group that he was benefiting, or would be benefiting, as their COO. In addition to that, the agreement refers to an RFP that was put out. It was discussed in 2005, and it was actually put out to the public. And on February 27th of 2006, and the reason why this is important, folks, is because I was on that board, and I was unaware of any of this. I had no idea that John Reardon had signed any order. I had no idea that an RFP was put out. And so yesterday, as I continued my research, I'm asking for this RFP. We're very, very conscientious because according to the agreement, it states that 5 responses to the RFP were received. So there should be somewhere a file that has all of those proposals that were submitted and how they were weighted and how they were measured and so forth. Well, the information that I received yesterday is, oops, couldn't find it. This is all we have. Just the general stuff. Remember, the Economic Development Department was dismantled. So where are those files? Who knows? They're clearly not where they should be in the county procurement office. My guess is that they were somewhere with Mr. Reardon, I would suspect, and the Economic Development Department, although I don't know that. facts together. But this much I can tell you. I also found in board docs the original agreement that was prepared by Cappuccino. So we did not prepare the agreement. Mr. Fink did not prepare the agreement. With that are all of the notes that were added to the agreement, because it was in that draft piece, by the county administrator at that time, Paul Comfort. And his notes are very enlightening because it was reassuring to me that he saw exactly what anybody could see, which is that this deal was bad from day one. Nobody could possibly agree to buy back all of this land at the cost, same price, as it was purchased for. The $6 million total amount for the parcels, those same parcels today are assessed, and that's not appraised value, that's assessed value, at about $3 million. So we're talking a big difference. So this is what I think, based on what I've been able to research, and I don't have time to go through everything, that this is what I think should happen. Oh, and one other thing. The $1.9 million that was approved for the capital improvement program, okay, in 2010, okay, July of 2010, and don't hold me to this. Remember, we finished our budget in May and June, right? So that means in May and June, that board, not me, I was on that board, completed a budget, tied it down, wrapped it up, improved the capital improvement program. And then, just 1 month later, maybe 60 days max, went into open session and approved a $1.9 million budget amendment to the CIP plan. Now, why would you do that? Why would you not have addressed that when you were doing your budget? I don't know the answer to that. But what I can tell you, if you can take $1.9 million and just amend your budget that way, my position is that this has too many questions, that we cannot allow this $6.9 million to be made part of this year's budget, that we need to hold it in abeyance. We need to find out exactly what went on here, why certain people were picked, how it was okay for the director of our economic development department to move so quickly to Ficina and then negotiate this deal. It's unconscionable. What was going on? Now, maybe everything was fine, but it sure doesn't look like it to me. And so my position is we take that $6.9 million, we put it over here, we go ahead and move forward with our budget, and we wait until such time as we can get some answers to this. Because we don't have the money to hold ourselves hostage with $6.9 million, and we don't even know all the facts. So that's what I'm proposing, that we get the information and that we just wait, and then we can move forward with our budget. And with the $5 million from the cable fund, and taking 3.4 out of our fund balance, and possibly even, if we have to, doing an income tax increase, and giving the Board of Education the $10 million that we promised them, although I don't even think we're going to need anything. I think we can make sure that our employees, that the teachers and the sheriff get their step, and that our services are not undermined. But I believe right now, today, we can make our budget without any tax increases, and we have the money there if we don't have to deal with this $6.9 million that we had nothing to do with. Yes, sir. Or at least Ken and I didn't.
Concerning the 6.9 million you're talking about.
6.4.
It's 6.4.
6.4 million. The question is, the commission, the current commission, do you guys have the vote to make that? Or we still have to play and do the signing of London stuff?
You know, we'll find out. And I have to say that I'm not sure that my colleagues are aware of all these details. I mean, one of our commissioners actually was on the previous board. But I will tell you, I don't know if they, when I was there and read the agreement, there's nothing that says that the board approved anything. And the one thing it does say that the board approved was not signed by a board member, it was signed by Mr. Reardon. After that, these things were handled, some of them were handled in open session. None of the property, the resolutions associated with property acquisition, none of those were done in open session. I don't know, maybe that wasn't required. But I would think that when you're going out and buying these parcels through condemnation, and I don't know the exact law on that, but I would think that that should have at some point been made known to the public. Especially when they did the budget amendment for $1.9 million, perhaps that's when and was being made known to the public. So, I don't want to, as I said, I try to deal in facts, and I don't want to misstate or say things that may not be facts. But what is of great concern is that we should be able to take that money, that 6.4 figure, put it over here, wait and see what's going to happen, because having that number out there makes it impossible for us to budget our, to balance our budget. And so by keeping that on the table, it makes it impossible for us to honor our commitment to the state's attorney's office, honor our commitment to the Board of Ed. You can have lots of opinions about whether or not the Board of Ed should get their funding and so forth, but the point is that why should our schools suffer, our law enforcement suffer, our county employees suffer for a number that, frankly, I have a really big problem taking your money and paying twice as much for land. I just think that's unconscionable, particularly given the information that and so for your sake, I would like to say that take that money, put it over there. If we find at some point, because we're not required to pay it until August, according to this agreement. If we find that the agreement was all in good faith and it should be honored, and we have to honor it, or else, face a lawsuit or what have you, that's one thing. But right now, we don't know that, and I believe that we should get a lot more information before we just blindly pay that money. And so that's
Can I just follow up to what Commissioner Kelly said? The way the public found out about it, and indeed the way most of the commissioners found out about this, was during the budget process, when fiscal came to us.
That's not true. And I want to keep you from saying something. Now, I sent it in Word docs in February of 2013. I wrote a memo to the commissioners. Because remember, in 2012, there was Resolution 2012-18, and at that point, I no longer prepared or had anything to do with the agenda. I shared my file with Commissioner Davis because this was her district, and when nothing was happening, because I knew this was out there, but I'm not doing the agenda anymore, in February of 2013, in Board Docs, I shared a memo with the Board of Commissioners telling them that this train wreck was coming. But
No, I'm not disputing that we knew that the train wreck was coming, but in terms of the public knowledge of this, during this budget process, it was recommended by our staff that we use funds that are generally earmarked towards school renovations and the like, the DRRA funds, to take the $6.4 million and buy out this contract, this land deal. Personally, this, we shouldn't be messing with education funds to undo a bad deal or to finalize a bad deal. I could not agree more with what Commissioner Kelly is saying, that we should move this to the side as it relates to the 2015 budget, because we may have options. There are too many questions here about this deal. We may have options where we can go to the party who receives the money, and they may be willing to renegotiate a deal as well. We don't know that. So I'd like to take the time.
That is sincerely my hope, that they will be willing to work with us on this.
Especially the commissioners didn't sign it.
Well, the commissioners did in 2008. That's what happened. Some of these things were happening in 2006. By 2008, the Board of Commissioners approved the agreement. As bad as it was, they approved the agreement. Some of the questions are, why did we buy the property? And then, because in the original agreement with the notes, which is the obvious question, why is the county buying this land? Why don't the developers just buy it? Why are we buying it? And then flipping it to them? I don't know the answer to that. That was one of the questions that was raised in the notes. And they're the kinds of things that I'm concerned about. Probably nothing, there may be a very good reason, as Ken says, we need to work with the parties to see. But I believe that to continue to shield the public from this is wrong, because we're sitting here as commissioners, nobody wants their taxes increased. We don't want to increase your taxes. We're struggling with this budget, and we're being, if we could take that money from the DRA, where it should go, is to the schools. That's what it's there for. That's what it's been collected for. To take that money to bail ourselves out of this, what from all appearances is a horrible deal, it would be very irresponsible not to thoroughly understand what happened, when, why, and how, and what our true obligation is. And one of the other things that I don't have an answer to is, and don't know if this is a state law, local law, or if it's just county policy, but we never purchase any land without reappraisals in a very, explicit process. Would you agree, Commissioner Robinson?
Yeah, no, I would agree. I think the bottom line on this is suspect, and we need to get to the bottom of it.
And thank you, Commissioner, because this is a non-agenda item, so thank you.